So, Denis Villeneuve says that MCU films are cut and paste affairs. Well, I hate to break it to you, but he's right. So this article dropped over 20 hours ago now from Denis Villeneuve, one of my favorite film directors. So other outlets are obviously covering this, so I'm just taking what IndieWire has transcribed today. This comes courtesy to us of Ryan Latanzio. So the Dune director has weighed in on the great debate surrounding the artistic substance of the MCU. They should probably put artistic substance in inverted commas, but I'll tell you why. And to be honest, this kind of echoes my own personal feelings about superhero films at the moment, especially from the MCU. So this is not going to be an MCU is good, DC is bad, or whatever. To be honest, actually, with the proliferation of bad MCU content this year, it's making me pivot towards DC stuff a lot more, which is kind of really funny. I saw myself as a bit of an MCU shill and a fanboy, but in the last few months, I've been changing a lot of my thoughts and opinions about that, which is really, I love the irony there. So another day, another auteur weighing in on the artistic substance of the MCU, almost in time for the 2-year anniversary of when Martin Scorsese compared Marvel movies to theme parks, which I think is a true statement. I think Scorsese got called out for that unfairly by overpassionate people. I didn't do that because Steven Spielberg has said a similar thing too, so I get where they're coming from. You know, the funny thing about the Marvel Cinematic Universe, since they landed here in 2008, it's almost like they feel that they're invincible, that they can't do any wrong. But since Stan Lee's passed away, I think that's where everything is actually going pear-shaped for them now. I mean, look, I've been sucker punched into seeing all of the Marvel films from 2008 until Shang-Chi recently. And it's one of those instances where I should know better. I should know what to expect when I walk into one of these movie theater experiences. It's the same thing every single time. So Villeneuve has sounded off on what he thinks about many of the cut and paste Marvel movies dominating movie theaters in recent years. Villeneuve spoke to El Mundo about the MCU and why big budget movies are still relevant when they're coming from master storytellers. Perhaps the problem is that we are in front of too many Marvel movies, that there are nothing more than cut and paste of others. Villeneuve said, perhaps these type of movies have turned us into zombies. Absolutely true. So for example, if you talk about the Marvel formula, it's going to be, you got to have loads of jokes. It's got to be very colorful. It's got to be not too violent. You have to have the trials and tribulations of the hero and how the third act is either the hero or they're helped by other colleagues against a big CGI baddie. That's what all the Marvel films have been to date. They've rarely shaken the formula except for Infinity War. That film had a few problems, but it's definitely the more outstanding entry I can think of from a series of 24, 25 films now. The Academy Award nominated Villeneuve has yet to step into the Marvel Cinematic Universe himself. That won't happen, definitely not, because A, Marvel can't afford him, and B, it's going to be the Darren Aronofsky situation all over again. So when Darren Aronofsky was approached to direct or to helm a possible Wolverine movie, apparently his ideas were just whoa, they were just way out there. They just couldn't handle that. And I'm betting now, if he was allowed to do that particular version of Wolverine, I bet it'll be hailed as a masterpiece. So Villeneuve goes on to say, just think of the golden age of Hollywood to see that commercial films can make a difference, artistic proposal, and therefore political. I have never felt like a loss or an impediment to have a generous budget to do what I wanted to do. Upside down. Who said that a movie on a big budget can't be artistically relevant? At the same time, I am currently thinking of people like Christopher Nolan or Alfonso Cuarón. Alfonso Cuarón, I think, directed Gravity with George Clooney and Sandra Bullock. Christopher Nolan has done a superhero movie, Batman Begins, The Dark Knight. I'm not really going to talk about the third entry, but those two particular entries, You can tell that Nolan really approached those films with a degree of artistry. I mean, Batman Begins, I remember at the time it was released, people were saying it's an indie film, but just disguised as a sort of a mid-budget Hollywood action movie with a superhero at the helm. And then obviously with The Dark Knight, it borrows heavily from Prince of the City from Sidney Lumet, I believe, and also Heat with Al Pacino and Robert De Niro, and of course directed by Michael Mann. You know how much I love that movie. So, you know, you're talking about superhero movies being approached in a more thoughtful, serious way. I mean, I would also add as well, Zack Snyder's Watchmen from 2009. I mean, that poster alone, that theatrical poster, it needs to be in your room. That's like, if you want to sum up a superhero movie, that poster with Rorschach, and you got the other characters in there, Jeffrey Dean Morgan, that's just a badass poster all over. That's it, all bets are off. Villeneuve also recently told French outlet Premiere, if we're talking about Marvel, the thing is, all these films are made from the same mold. Some filmmakers can add a little colour to it, but they're all cast in the same factory. So yeah, it doesn't take anything away from the movies, but they are formatted. So what he's saying there is, yeah, you can probably, the Edgar Wright situation is the thing I can remember, that he was called in to do Ant-Man. I guess he wanted to add some flair, some originality. Marvel just said, well, we can't do that. That's not in keeping with our business model. And that's the problem. I think Marvel are now just tripping over themselves so much they don't know what to do anymore. Now, how I'm going to conclude this video in the end for me personally, the reason why I said at the beginning that I'm kind of feeling the same way now, I've actually gone back to watching a lot of indie films from the 90s, certainly the noughties. So filmmakers like Whit Stillman, I've gone back to his trilogy of movies, which I'm going to be talking about in a future video. And then you've just got some great filmmaking from the 90s. Even the action movies of the 90s certainly have an artistic flair to them. Certainly not the cut and paste entries of the cinematic universe from Marvel, you know. And again, there are some, and even like the DC films coming out now, like Matt Reeves' The Batman, you know there's going to be an artistic approach to that. It's going to be very, very serious. Don't forget what Todd Phillips did with Joaquin Phoenix in The Joker. That film was made for what, $50 million, and it made $1 billion at the box office worldwide. I mean, that's a perfect example of how you can take an established genre like the comic book and turn it into something even more special. Marvel will never do that because they're just concentrating on cha-ching, cha-ching, money at the box office tills, and that's it. All integrity has actually gone. I think as a model going forward, Marvel are just going to find that it's going to become more problematic than ever, especially with woke politics invading their IP now, which it's going to turn people away from the cinema and probably from subscriptions on Disney+. I'm going to be concentrating on more action-related movies because I don't think I've done enough of those. Certainly what's been missing from the plate is horror movies, and I love horror films, but I've got something planned for that. I've got my review for Malignant to film, so that should be up hopefully next week. So yes, that's it, guys. I mean, you know, anything to do with the Eternals, and I've done a video reaction for that already. I won't be seeing that film when it's released. I don't care if an award-winning film director like Chloe Zhao is behind it. That does nothing to entice me. So guys, what do you think of Denis Villeneuve's comment about the MCU films being all cut and paste affairs? Do you agree? Do you disagree? Please leave your comments below and let me know. And don't forget to hit that subscribe button and even like that like button if you want to do that. And I'll see you on my next video.
Hey Joe, you wanna play a zombie game?
Oh, okay.
Hey Joe, you wanna play a zombie game?
Jesus Christ, how many fucking zombie games you buying, Joe?
Hey Joe, you wanna play a zombie game?
Stop it.
Hey Joe, you wanna play a zombie game?
Stop.
Like and subscribe or get your nuts Krogan crushed.